Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
The show is in honor of, and we have a special show today because we're going to bring you a veteran story. Of course, Paul Dietrich, our co-host, is always here, retired colonel and friend. Nicole Branca, Assistant Commissioner, Senior Advisor for Support Services of New York City. Tommy Lloyd, Peer Coordinator for the New York City Veteran Services?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Michael Thomas, U.S. Army veteran. Nicole, tell us a little bit about your job.
So I am the Assistant Commissioner for Housing and Support Services, and I was brought on by General Sutton almost 2 years ago.
A lovely person.
A wonderful
lovely person, yes.
I would follow her anywhere. And she asked me to come serve for her to help end veteran homelessness in the city. And I wisely hired Tommy and a few other veterans and veteran advocates to work within the shelter system to help do whatever it took to get veterans from shelter into permanent affordable housing.
So your goal is for homeless veterans, okay,
Correct.
that you're assisting.
We have a small team. Our agency, the Department of Veteran Services, is only 32 people in total. Our team is a mighty team of 8. So we endeavor to do as much housing, advocacy, and policy work for veterans.
Small team for a big job.
For a big job. So we have to prioritize, and we're prioritizing our most vulnerable veterans first. But wherever possible, we do try to work with our government partners to make sure that there are the right housing policies in place for all veterans.
Okay. Tommy Lloyd, tell us a little bit about your job with this.
Well, my job consists of, I started out at 30th Street Men's Shelter. It was a veteran shelter also.
Right.
2 years ago. We have now eliminate the homeless population for veterans at 30th Street. So there's no longer any more veterans that's homeless at 30th Street. So when that job was finished, Nicole had me go out to Borden, and along with my other peer coordinator, Mr. Wheeler, we're working at Borden right now, and we're trying to do the same thing at Borden that we did at 30th Street to eliminate the homeless veteran situation.
Can you tell us what that means about eliminating the homeless population in a certain area?
So what we're trying to do is there's a 14 of veteran peer coordinators.
Yes.
We're all at different shelters. Currently right now there's 3 of us at Borden Veterans Facility. So we, along with Nicole and Jason, who's our senior policy analyst, we go through affordable housing, sometimes through NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority, and private market. So we try to find the veterans apartments, either studios or 1-bedroom apartments, and try to get them back into society.
Excellent.
I'll just add that when the mayor made this commitment to end veteran homelessness back in his State of the City speech in 2015, we've since reduced veteran homelessness by almost 70% in the city, but any homeless veteran is one too many.
Yes.
So while we're proud to have reduced veteran homelessness, originally it was 4,700 at the high point in 2011. We've now reduced it to about 500.
Okay.
But we have 100 veterans that come into the shelter system every month. So these guys are awfully busy housing all the vets we have.
So every month you get 100 new that come in,
Yeah.
and you want to move out as many as you can. at the
Right,
same
simple
time.
math, yeah. And we have, and I should say, well, we have a team of 4 in the shelters. We have a lot of wonderful partners at Department of Homeless Services, the VA, NYCHA, and the Housing Preservation and Development.
Excellent. So it's a
All hands on
strategy of
deck.
everybody on deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the organizations are trying to work towards this
Okay.
laudable goal.
Yes.
Michael, tell us how you got involved into this system and your story. How did it happen? Let's talk about your veteran story.
Okay, originally I came into the system through a program called BRC in Brooklyn, and I was referred to Borden Veterans Residence in Long Island City because I am a veteran. And originally I met with housing coordinators at Borden, but I wasn't really satisfied with the service I was receiving from them. So once I met Tommy, everything changed for me. Everything started picking up. I went to a viewing with him in Staten Island and met with some people at Stapleton, and I was very satisfied with, the questions that I asked. They were answered, and I felt that I was really going to be served well. And I said I would be committed to this, and I'm still committed to it. And I'm trying to work with them as much as I can, but we also have other things that we have to do at Borden also.
Okay. Tommy, what was your role with this as this went?
Well, as a VPC, we just try to connect with the veterans that are at Borden and help them in any way we can when it comes to housing. It's more of a motivation, a factor. Some guys get comfortable at being in a certain facility or being in a certain location. So we just try to motivate them and tell them that, when you get a housing, your whole mind, your body becomes more comfortable with yourself. Because once you're housed, your whole attitude changes towards life.
And you can link back with your family a little
Exactly.
bit better than you can in a shelter.
Exactly.
Things like that.
So which has happened with a lot of veterans we housed in the past.
Sure.
They've come and tell us that, I haven't seen my daughter or my father and mother in years, and when Thanksgiving and holidays come around, I'm able to invite them to my home.
There you
So
go.
it's a great thing.
Right. Nicole, how does your role with this? Once it gets up to this point
Yeah.
with Tommy and Michael, what do your role is?
So my role is to work with our government partners and private market landlords to make sure we have enough housing for Michael and his peers to move into, and then we let our vet peer coordinators know about the housing so that they can make the right fit for the team that they're working with.
Okay.
And if we need more housing vouchers, we'll go to the VA or HUD or our city partners to make sure that there are enough rental subsidies. And
Okay,
so on
when
and
you
so
say
forth.
city partners, who would that be? Private industry?
How long is your show? Our chief partners are the Department of Homeless Services. They run the shelters. Human Resources Administration, they help provide checks to the landlords. When Mr. Thomas moves, he'll get a check for furniture. The Housing Authority will be giving Mr. Thomas a voucher.
Yes,
He has a VA case manager.
yes.
And then sometimes we work with HPD and NYCHA
Yes.
for their housing, because they've been wonderful about opening their doors and asking their landlords to open their doors to us.
So this is actually a wonderful thing that the city is doing on behalf of the veterans.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it really is.
Fantastic.
And it's good to see the coordinated effort. It has to be a coordinated effort. This is
No, we wouldn't
a
be
very,
here.
very difficult problem, and it has to be a united front to solve.
Well, with the commission, this program is bound to be a success. It can't go any other way.
Yeah, I didn't want to let her down.
She doesn't accept failure.
No, she doesn't.
As I was saying, this program has got to be a success because the commissioner doesn't accept failure.
That is-
She's a lovely, lovely lady, and she's hell-bent on succeeding.
That is
And
correct.
great thing.
We and it wasn't complicated. and it's hard to get housing in New York City.
Yes.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was really about finding the right people at the agencies who wanted to do the right thing by veterans.
Okay.
And so we have people who you would never know, people never hear about, they don't get awards, they don't go on TV shows, but they help us get inspections faster, they help process paperwork faster, so we could get them out of shelter as fast as possible.
And it sounds to me like you have some very wonderful private industry partners
Yes.
that are giving us apartments that we can put veterans into.
Yes. For example, the building that Mr. Thomas is moving into is being managed by Progressive Management, and they're a property management group like any other, but they've committed to taking 20 homeless veterans into their beautiful new senior residence on Bay Street.
Well,
This is right here on Staten Island, and it's not open yet, but it should be soon, correct?
Yes.
And you have 5 veterans now that are slated for that.
Yes.
So
At least, yeah.
at this juncture, you have 15 available positions.
Right.
Very important out there to the veterans community that if we have a veteran with a housing issue,
Yeah.
here is an opportunity here on Staten Island. You won't have to move off of Staten Island, and you'll be able to get into a permanent residence.
Yes.
And they would also want me to say there's a lottery. So there's a set number of apartments that they're setting aside for homeless veterans, but then they also have a lottery for affordable housing
Excellent.
for veterans and other seniors.
Excellent.
that's number one. That's heartwarming as a veteran, to know that there's no reason for there to be a homeless veteran.
That's right.
There's no reason, because there are ways of getting it done, and you're showing us one of the ways. It's very important. How does somebody get in touch with you, your organization? I'm sure they're not going to come direct to you as the assistant commissioner, but
I'm about 10 feet from the front door, so they might.
do come to
In
you.
fact, the odds are good that they might get me. We are at 1 Center Street, right across from City Hall in
Right.
Manhattan. We also have a Staten Island. We have an office in each borough. It's one of the first things that Commissioner
Okay.
Sutton did. So this is an opportunity to let your viewers know where to go.
yeah.
So so I don't mess this up, on Staten Island, we have in Borough Hall on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 to 2. We have a Representative Matt Basile who will help with,
Who's done the show with us?
who's on the show, correct? He's a wonderful guy. He will help provide whatever referrals, guidance, connect you with benefits, employment, housing. You'll probably send him over to Tommy.
Okay. Does he have a phone number at that location?
Yes.
Okay.
646-799-2743. He's at Borough Hall on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 to 2, and then he's at the College of Staten Island on Mondays and Thursdays from 10 to 2.
We have a very, very strong veterans program at the College of Staten Island.
Yes.
Very proud to say.
And I believe he is a veteran, and I believe
Yes, he
he
is.
is also an alum of the College of
he
Staten
is.
Island.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Tommy, if somebody wants to reach you direct, can they?
Oh, yes, they could email me at tolloyd@veterans.gov.nyc.gov. They can call my cell phone at 646-799-0610.
Okay.
Okay.
And beyond the housing, if Michael needs help in other areas, do you refer them, or does he have to go back to the VA for that, say, medical or whatever? Is there any other areas that you have to get assistance in?
Yes, I needed assistance in medical care because I recently found out that I have congestive heart failure. So I was referred to the VA, and the VA also encouraged me to go to an outside hospital and seek a cardiologist, a private cardiologist, which I have. And I've been receiving treatment, medication, and also receive medical equipment that I need to also maintain my health, which is great. And I want to commend everybody from the VA and from all the programs that I've received help. The staffing has always been, always on point. They've been there for me, at any time of day, night, you know, because they're there when we're there. We're there 24 hours a day, and they're there for us. And I encourage all veterans that need help to seek these programs out, to come out and get the help that you need, because it's there, and it's always going to be there, I hope.
Excellent.
Okay, Paul, you were going to say?
Yes, the important thing there is if you're a veteran, you need to be registered at the VA. Back to life. It's a good system. It's underutilized, and to be perfectly honest, if veterans don't use it, it will go away, because that is our political system. That's the reality of it. I can't encourage veterans more than this to go and get enrolled and take advantage of what you earned. You earned this. You earned this by your service, and every veteran should be a part of this. In 2 weeks, we're going to have on Dr. Edelman again from the VA. She's going to be talking again about her passion, which is curing veterans and everybody of Hep C. It's a very insidious thing. If you're a veteran, go get tested. Particularly older veterans are more susceptible to Hep C because of blood wasn't tested when we were younger. So if we were exposed to blood, the odds are that you may have been exposed to Hep C. Get tested. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You earned this as part of your service. So please take advantage of the VA. They're passionate about this.
Let me just pick up on one thing that Mike said. We also have an aftercare specialist that worked in our office. Her name is Angela, and she does a wonderful job. After the veteran is moved out into permanent housing, we just don't cut them off.
That's good.
We don't cut them off.
That's very important.
We try to get a contact phone number, and we have the addresses, but we try to get a contact phone number so that we can keep in contact with them to make sure that everything is going good. The rent is paid, food is in the refrigerator, the lights is on. So we don't abandon them after they leave. We keep in contact with them at all times.
When I was saying earlier about how it's not complicated, it's all about relationships.
Yes, it is.
And so we're not trying to be the VA, because we're 32 staff big and might grow to 40 in a few weeks. But it's about treating everybody with the respect that they deserve and connecting them with the benefits that are out there. So we have a small team, but they're all experts in what they do. So we have one person who calls herself the Aftercare unit. She's one person.
One person.
We have one person who does homelessness prevention work. So if you're a veteran and you're at risk of losing your apartment, or have a family member that's at risk of losing their apartment or home, we have somebody for them to call as well. And then Tommy mentioned earlier, Jason, we have a person on our staff who works with landlords, because they want somebody to call too.
Yes.
So we make sure that if they give us an apartment, we promise to fill that apartment, and we're gonna work with them. We're gonna work with our team, and we'll make sure all the paperwork gets done, the inspections happen, so that at the end of the day, they want to work with us and give us more apartments for more veterans.
Now, you just said we're not trying to be the VA.
Right.
But let me tell you something. The program that you're doing is remarkable, admirable, and I have to commend our mayor. I mean, I may not agree with him politically on everything he does, but as far as veterans go, he's got his best foot forward.
He really does.
And it's very important. You may not be the VA, but without programs like this, the VA would suffer a little bit. Okay, you lighten their burden on an area that they don't necessarily cover with housing.
Yes.
I mean, or they don't have the same capabilities that you do to get it done. So it's a remarkable thing that you're doing. Okay.
I think since we started 2 years ago, we are almost at 500 veterans that we've housed our unit.
Excellent.
And our turnover ratio coming back of about 2%, 3%.
Yeah, less than 5% have gone back into shelter.
Yep.
Well, that's a very good rate compared to what would normally be out there in the marketplace. So that's exceptional. And again, I go back to the strong links to housing is one of the essentials. It's how you keep the families together, and it's how you have that support system there for the veterans going forward in the future. Bad jobs, things like that, to keep them out of trouble. And as a counselor for veterans that have got themselves into trouble, it's much easier to not get in trouble, guys, than it is to have to deal with the courts and everything else. So this is an important step to preventing the bigger problems that can happen.
It's a world of difference by putting a roof over somebody's head. Now, we talked earlier in the green room. I served with the police department for 27 years, and I can't tell you the number of times that we ran into a situation with somebody who was homeless, and we'd go to assist him or whatever, and the guy would be a vet that served in Vietnam. And you know, how long have you been like this? And it was years. The guy was living in the street for years without a roof over his head. Now you're putting a roof over his head, and that's the first point of getting stabilized in your life. Okay.
Yes.
It's so important.
And we made sure that when we first started doing this work 2 years ago, that we focused on street homeless veterans and other chronically homeless veterans who were disabled and have been homeless for long periods of time, for that exact reason.
It's a great program. It really is. I can't say enough about it.
The other thing, though, that I see as really important is that the coordinators here are veterans.
Yes.
I can't stress enough that the best person to talk to a veteran is another veteran.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt in my mind that a veteran talks better to another veteran than anybody else. It's reality.
That's true.
Because we know.
It's harder to talk to somebody on the outside.
We know
because
where you've been.
You haven't been where I've been. You don't know what I've experienced.
Yes.
But only a veteran can talk to a veteran because we know.
So it's very important to have that, particularly at your level, talking to them about homelessness or whatever. It's almost impractical to have anybody else speak to them.
I'll also add to that we have one of our peer coordinators is a military spouse.
Yeah.
And she similarly knows.
Well, she's
what's
been
going
there
on.
as well. She,
Yes.
you know,
Caregivers. are
Military
part-
spouse served just as much as.
Right.
right.
So.
And in more cases than not, the military spouse is the backbone of the family.
Yes.
Because while daddy's away serving,
Yes.
mommy's at home serving too, with the children and housing and all of the problems that come with being a family. They're all on
Vice
mommy's
versa.
shoulders.
I've seen it the other way too, where the husband is home and the wife is deployed.
Serving, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I come from a different age.
I understand, but sometimes the problems are greater when the wife is deployed than when
Exactly,
the husband,
yeah.
because it's a different set of circumstances then, and I've seen both. So,
And to go back to your question earlier, you asked about other services.
Right.
We, after Commissioner Sutton stood up our line of action, the Housing and Support Services Unit, she's been working the last year or so to bring on Matt Basile and his team
yes.
to do employment, education, benefits, entrepreneurship, and events. They're all over the city. That's why Matt's not here today, because he's doing an event. And then our most recent line of action is called Whole Health and Community Resilience, and we have it's very similar to the housing work, where we're not trying to recreate the VA. We're trying to be strategic and add more holistic care and community-based care for veterans that are out there. And so as time goes on, we'll be working more closely with our whole health colleagues to connect
Good.
the Mr. Thomases of the world to the health care that they need.
Thank you.
Good. And keep in mind that there are two places here on Staten Island that you can go.
Okay.
We have a clinic right down here on South Avenue, about a mile down the road, and you have, I believe it's 60 Bay Street is the other clinic here on Staten Island. So make sure you utilize them.
Definitely.
Well, before
Thank
we
you.
wrap up for today, one more time, can you give us a location and a phone number where people can reach you?
Sure. So I'm at 1 Center Street. We're on the 22nd floor. And we are in the process of switching over our phones. So my phone doesn't work right now. So just come visit us in person at 1 Center Street. I will give the Brooklyn information, which I did not give earlier. Our Brooklyn information is the Brooklyn Workforce One Career Center. On it's 9 Bond Street, so it's more closer to downtown Brooklyn. Mondays and Wednesdays, 10 to 2.
Okay.
And Martine Nivos is our DVS person there.
Okay.
And that number is 917-628-8597.
Okay.
And then again, Staten Island is the Borough Hall, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 2, and the College of Staten Island, Mondays and Thursdays, 10 to 2, 646-799-2743.
And Tommy, you have an email address that they can...
Yes, my email address is tollod@veterans.nyc.gov.
And people can certainly email me. I'm at Branca, BRANCA, @veterans.nyc.gov.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you've been watching In Honor Of. We thank you for watching. I want to thank my guests because you bring a wealth of information to us. And if you're out there and you need help or you need guidance, you have these organizations to help you. You have the VFW, the American Legion. You reach out for any organization, and they're there to help you. Believe me, and they'll bend over backwards. Paul, thank you for being here once again. You keep watching In Honor Of, and we'll keep bringing you programming like this to help you. And we can be reached here at Staten Island Community Television, 100 Cable Way, 718-727-1414. If you've got a veterans question, we will get you directed to the right person and make sure we take care of it. We love you for watching. You just keep watching, and we'll be there for you.
Yesterday, December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.